Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast with Matt and Brian. Hey, and it is always powered by Game 7 Baseball. Game7baseball.com. Get your tournament schedule solidified. You should have that done already, though, right?
I should probably have a lot of things done by now, but
So if you got some dates open, there you go. Looking at Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, great stuff, great venues. Get on Game7baseball.com. Get your team registered and get your schedule set. All right, we are kicking off our high school preview season here. And we've got a special guest. We're looking forward to it. Coach Dave Wilson, Staley High School over on the west side. This is our first venture into the west side, and I want to introduce, as always, our good buddy from Prep Baseball Report, Kevin Mulder, who engineered all this for us. Kevin, big ups. Thank you very much, buddy.
Absolutely. We got one of the best here with us today, so I'm excited.
Coach Wilson, thanks for coming on. Welcome to the show.
Oh, you bet. Thank you, guys.
All right, so we're starting off 2022. You looks like you're gonna probably sit in that same district as you were last year. I can't see it changing too much. It's
Lucky
the
you.
district from
Lucky you.
I remember last year when we were talking about this the whole time. Kevin's going, gosh, I don't know. Whoever comes out of this is probably going to win the whole thing. And sure enough,
It was tough. It was tough.
who are you looking at in this district? That's, up and down, yes, but who the teams you looking at in that district, Coach?
Well, you obviously have to start off with Liberty, the defending champs, and they brought back pretty much all of their pitching. And they've got a kid over there, Carson Milbrandt, that's going to Vanderbilt. And, he's pretty special. And then they just brought back a ton of kids. And the one thing I know about when you win it, okay, now all your kids know you can. And it just it's a tone throughout the program. So Kurt Bragg always does a great job over there at Liberty High School. So I see them as being right there at the top, along with Liberty North, who is a young team, but I could say there are a lot of juniors, but a lot of those guys played last year, and they were a good team last year. They've got a lot of committed guys to Division I schools, so I see both of those schools up in the top 5 in the state of Missouri, and so it starts there. That's kind of the peak of the mountain. And then there's always good teams in there with Park Hill South. It's just I think last year we had 6 teams out of the 8 that had winning records going into the district. So it's tough, man. It's the gauntlet. And if you can get out of it, there's always good teams everywhere. You're never going to win an easy state championship, but it gives your kids confidence that they can compete with the best in the state of Missouri, especially at this time. We've really got some very, very talented players right now on the west side.
Kevin, you're looking at this, and I don't think you got. When are you putting out your first rankings, your preseason rankings? When are they coming?
I'll do for the team rankings. I'll do that the week of the season.
Okay.
So the week of opening day, I will put them out a couple days beforehand. I'm starting to get a pretty good feel, but then, the entire month of February, I just have chock full of events, and we'll get out and see a lot of guys, and coaches start to get a feel for their teams, who's going to play, who's not, et cetera, who's taken that jump from last year, from an ordinary player and going to be a leader this spring type thing. So you start to get a feel for that a little bit as the season approaches. So, but Coach is right. There'll be that district there will be well represented, I would have to imagine, in those early season rankings.
Are you going to see maybe 3, maybe 4 of those teams in those top 10 there with you?
Again, I haven't looked at it yet, but I would, off the top of my head, you'd have to believe that would be the case.
I really see the 2 Liberties from what I know, and then over on the south side, there's obviously some very good teams. Blue Spring South, I think, has some very good players, and so does Ray Peck. And and there's Lee Summit West is always good, and your Rockhurst. So I mean, they're always going to come up with some talented players. But I know off the top of my head, Blue Spring South and Ray Peck, it seems like have some committed guys and a lot of talent returning.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, I mean, you have some talent coming back. You've got Dylan Grego, who is, I believe he's still committed to Ball State. Mm-hmm. And then you've got a junior in Jonathan Ludwig. Now, did he play varsity last year for you?
He came up at the end of the year and got in a few games at the end. But he's a very talented kid. He can run real well. And then we return a catcher named Gavin Siegfried that's going to Crowder. That's a good player. And then our second baseman, which would be the tandem with Dylan Grego, Lucas Wilson. So those are mainly the guys we return, and we return one more outfielder. This will be the youngest team I've had since we opened the school. We are not a real heavy upperclassmen team. So it'll be a young team taking on a hellacious schedule.
Well, you've got some good 24s, some sophomores.
Yes.
So I'm assuming a lot of those kids will play varsity.
Yeah. I love the competition that we're going to have in practice when we get going, because there's some guys fighting. And when guys fight for a job, they get better. So
that's true.
Important. But our pitching is going to be very young. I don't return one arm from last year's team. So it's a fight for all the spots in the rotation.
Well, isn't that the thing we talk about the most, right?
Pitching?
Pitching.
Well, we talked about it, I think, through all the entire playoffs of last year was pitching.
Yes.
The arm, the one arm that can beat anybody. You just hope you don't see him the first game.
Yeah.
Somebody else can
Coach
take that
Wilson
kid.
had that kid last year. That Troy Wansing was one of the best arms in the state last year. And when you got a guy like that, you are automatically dangerous. And but Staley is absolutely loaded at the sophomore class in particular, and they also have some good juniors and seniors. But they're going to be coach. I bet you feel pretty good about the next couple of years ahead of you. I would imagine.
I really do, and I tell you what, the seniors that I have this year, because there's a couple there at the top that are really good, but I've got Gavin, Dylan, and Brayden Tucker. They're going to provide great leadership for those young guys, and so it does make me feel good to have guys like that will kind of show them the way.
And if you're going to be old at a position, shortstop and catcher are good ones to have some senior leadership, aren't they?
Yeah. That helps. That makes me sleep a little bit better. So, yeah, don't want to start new there.
Well, it's funny because we talk about to 23 class.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that a lot. How there's a lot of kids in the St. Louis area. If you look at the top 10, 15, 20 kids, it's heavy on this side. You look at 24 class, it's heavy on the west side. And then even the 22 class, I would say it's more on the west side with your Milbrandt being the one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was the one of the kids that we discussed that could take his team to the finals just being on the mound. So now you need more kids to win, but I'm just saying one kid can really, when they separate it like that, once you get out of your district, can really do some damage. But the 24 class is what we were talking about with your team and how it's very heavy on the Kansas City side, and the St. Louis side is very 2023. But I'm excited to see the young kids that you have, and you were telling us earlier that you're making some trips to Columbia this spring, and you'll see some teams from this side of the state, St. Louis side. When is that happening?
That's in the middle of, I believe, April, around April 15th. I know that Francis Howell is there. I know CBC is also in that tournament for Zumwalt West. It's arguably one of the best tournaments in the state of Missouri. It's right in the middle of the season. It's great.
That's that Columbia tournament, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
And
yeah.
all those fields there have turf now. And so you know when you show up, you're going to play. You don't have to worry about the weather. You might just have to delay a little bit, but it's a good one. And there's 5 games for each team. So I hope
I'm actually looking at it right now, and yeah, you got Columbia Rockbridge, which is going to have
they're good.
in my opinion, the best freshman in the state. Ty Thompson should be on their team as their starting shortstop, I would imagine. You get the runner-up, Fort Zumwalt West, and the Gala, who also has some good young players. So, yeah, kind of like you said, Coach, you're getting a little bit of everyone there from across the state. That'll be a fun tournament there.
Yeah, we'll have to check our pulse after we leave there, see if we're still alive.
Well, I think this goes to, kind of what you're looking at. Pitching wise, who are the kids that you're looking at that are going to be coming up there? And they're going to get tested this year as young guys, right? So what
Yes.
are you looking for from some of these kids, a couple of the kids that you're really looking at that's going to take you down the road here?
Well, Brayden Tucker is the only one that he got just a little bit of time last year, so he'll be at least he's someone that stepped up on the mound for it was about 5 innings, and then we've got some juniors, Ty Hill, who's a junior, Chase Maddox, John Ludwig can pitch, so those are some juniors along with some other names there, and then our sophomores we've got a couple left-handers. At Austin Perry and Hunter Hampshire, they got some talent, and so yeah, and it's funny. There's so many guys. Like today, we did that 3 hours of practice this week, and so after school today, some guys are throwing, and I even have Dylan Grego even said, "Coach, I'm going to come in and watch. I just want to see all the pitchers throw." So he wants to kind of get an eye. Maybe he can give me some advice. It'll be interesting.
But that's good, though. I mean, because we were discussing the talent that Howell West, CBC have, and then some of the Columbia schools. I personally like to see coaches like you who take your schedule to the next level. So instead of saying, hey, I'm going to play my conference games, then I'll figure out the rest, it's, I have my conference games, but I'm going to go to Columbia. And then you mentioned you go out of state sometimes. Where are you guys going this year?
So we'll go to Oxford, Alabama this year. And I believe we play Dothan out of Alabama. They're a Class 7 school. And there's a team out of Ohio that will play. So I believe there's 3 Alabama schools and then 1 Ohio school that will play. And then we play Creighton Prep, who's a perennial power. And I just tell the kids this. We're going to schedule them all, and if you play tough teams, you may beat times during your schedule, but you can't help to improve if you have the right mindset. And so you just have to continue to work. And this game's hard enough. But you just gotta grind it out, and they like that. I mean, I know my top players; they want to play good people. They don't want a schedule that's just full of games that they think that doesn't challenge them. And so I wouldn't want to be in a program that didn't have kids that wanted to be that way.
So tell us about yourself. So we got a fun fact off camera that I think you should share with us in regards to you are the founder of Staley Baseball, right?
Yes.
So give yourself some credit. You are the first and only ever baseball coach at Staley High School. I didn't know that until you said something.
I didn't know.
Did you, Kevin? Did you know that?
I honestly did not know that. Wow.
See, Kevin knows everything.
And what year is this, Coach, for Staley baseball?
This is our 14th year.
Okay.
I believe 14th.
So you're going to have a statue out front, probably, right? At some point.
No, that'd be too expensive. They need a lot. They need a lot of material.
Maybe a plaque. We'll get you a plaque or a tree. We'll name a tree after him, right?
Yeah.
We gotta talk to
Exactly.
Staley about this.
It's been really neat. My family all grew up in this area, and my grandparents met in the hallways at North Kansas City High School, and so somebody from my family has gone to all 4 high schools in this district. So it was pretty special to come home and start a brand new program in your backyard. And my uncle Benny Kane used to be the head coach at Winnetonka many years ago and won a state title back in 1980. And then that's where I went to high school and played high school baseball.
Well, congratulations to you. I think that's awesome.
Dave's also the coach of our PBR Select Future Games team, which is mostly Kansas and Missouri kids. There are a couple outliers on there as well, but so Coach Perkins has the Team Missouri, and Coach Wilson does our Select team, which is a lot of the Kansas City and Kansas kids. So he also does a phenomenal job with that as well.
That's been a really neat experience. So many high-level players that play in it, and they set it. Kevin and Andy set it up, so I can't screw it up. Okay, they give me the lineup, the pitching rotation, and I basically get to sit and lean on a fungo and tell a few jokes while I'm in there, and it's a lot of fun.
He's the Joe Torre of the team.
Joe Torre.
Yeah, he's the Joe Torre.
There you go. There you go.
You say that, and that's exactly the type of guy we look for is a Joe Torre type. I mean, we're setting, all-stars more or less, and you need an experienced guy in there that's not going to, that has some good feel and has been around those type of players and has coached at a really high level. So has dealt with that type of talent, that type of ego, unfortunately at times, and just knows how to handle those type of guys. And, we're fortunate, we got kind of both sides of the state represented really well at the future games with Coach Perkins and Coach Wilson. So I feel really blessed that we have a couple of guys like that to lead the charge for us.
Speaking of,
well, Dave, now you can't be throwing any buckets or anything on the wall or breaking anything with bats now. His bar's set high.
Well, sometimes that's needed, though.
Bar's set high.
Yeah.
Coach Wilson's like, damn it, Kevin, now I can't break anything.
Oh, mercy. Coach, I'm talking about the high-level kids and whatnot. You've had some high-level players go through your program. What's been special about that? As we've talked about it, 14 years you've been that guy. Talk a little bit about your program that way.
Yeah, we've had, I don't know the exact amount, but we've had some pro players and we've got a couple kids in professional baseball right now. We've had a lot of Division I players that have come through. And just, I don't know, from the beginning, you just try to instill a work ethic into players. And I'm telling you, we've got a kid in pro ball right now that when he came into the program, he's just skinny. He was probably 140 pounds dripping wet. And, but he just, he bought in and he bought into working extremely hard and changing his body. That's something we emphasize that, kids, they spend a lot of time on skill work, which is good because you got to work on the fundamentals of the game. But the higher up you go and the better players you see, you've got to add some strength and you've got to have some explosiveness to yourself if you're going to compete at that level. And so it was really neat. That kid's name's Hunter Mcmahon. And when he went to Texas State, he was named the hardest worker on the pitching staff. So when he came back and told me that, man, that made me feel good. I'm not saying I did anything for that, but I hope I at least played a part in making him recognize how hard it is to make it at that level. And so I have had a player, not from Staley, but from Columbia Hickman, that made it to the major leagues, and that was a great experience. I'll never forget his mother's phone call at 2:00 in the morning to let me know. And she felt so bad, but she said, "I told you I would call you right away." And Blake was on his way to Washington, and man, what a neat thing to go through. So, yeah, we've got Matt Russell and Hunter Mcmahon playing right now. I've got a former player that's coaching in the Chicago White Sox organization. He played pro ball. And we've just had a long list of players that have gone on and done well in the game at all levels, the NAIA, junior college, Division II, and Division I level.
That's good. The when you're strength, because you teach strength and conditioning at the school, correct?
Yes.
So one of the things that we harp about is on this show is when you get to that next level is the physicality of baseball. And people don't understand the difference until you're up close and personal and you're really on field level watching a practice or watching a game and seeing just the difference in kids, in the physicality of kids, which I'm sure since you teach that, you're probably really trying to implement that in your program at the school.
We talk about it constantly. I had a son that, he went to Indiana State, and I remember when we came home from the official visit, he got in the car. He's like, "Dad, man, you're right. I mean, those guys are put together." And it woke him up right there. I got a funny little story if you got time here. I had a kid named Ross Messina, and Ross Messina was a really good player for Ball State the last couple of years. And when Ross was a sophomore, he was just a wiry thing. And he got into a few varsity games. Didn't hit much, but he got into those games. And then, so he really bought into weight training, him and Jack Duffy and Hunter Swift and those guys. And his senior year, he was put together. He got a base hit that he got fisted, and it barely creeped over the shortstop. And I said, "Man, you sure hit the hell out of that one." I was kind of giving him crap when he got down to first. And he looked at me, pointed at me, said, "Coach, that's why I trained hard, so I could get that hit." And he had recognized that instead of that being a soft liner to the shortstop, he had gotten strong enough to fight through when he got beat and still get a base hit out of it. And that moment I'll always treasure, because there was a kid that bought in and it turned into a great career.
Well, and you see the difference.
That's awesome.
Kevin, what do you say? It's boys high school.
Oh, yeah, Coach. Yeah, one of my favorite lines I used to tell guys was they play boys high school baseball and men's college baseball. So that's something for your guys to remember that think they're going to be moving on. That because in high school, skill can take over and you can dominate with just skill. But then you get to that higher level and those gaps close quicker and guys cover more ground. You got to be able to hit it through people and by people and over people, etc. And just the rigors of playing that amount of games in a short amount of time, it's a little bit different, as I'm sure you know.
It takes its toll, and one of the things that we preach here is I always tell all the players, there's going to come a day when talent no longer matters because everybody has it, and you've got to have something extra. And I heard that. I didn't make that up. I heard that from a coach in an ABCA clinic, but boy, did it make sense. I mean, if 50 guys are there and they all throw 95, you better have something that separates you from those other 49.
Well, you guys remember Kyle McClellan pitched for the Cardinals?
Absolutely.
He told me a story that when he was in camp, he was in spring training, he got invited to spring training, and he's throwing next to Wainwright. And Duncan's sitting there, and they're all talking, and he said, "You know what the difference between him and you are?" And he's thinking, "I mean, a lot. I mean, it's Adam Wainwright, right?" He goes, Only difference is if I tell him to throw to one spot, he can do it 20 times in a row because you're throwing just as hard as he is. You have everything else that he has. So, I mean, but that goes to your point that talent's there. They all have talent, but now how are you separating yourself? So.
Perfect. Exactly. Coach, we're going to put you not on a spot, but close.
Sure.
Just real quick.
Sure.
I want to get your opinion because honestly, we're on this side. Kevin's the one that kind of sets us straight most of the time with all this stuff. So we want to get your opinion because you're on that side of the state, and we're looking at District 5, 6, 5, 7, and 8, and that's basically your side of the state. District 5, you talked about Blue Springs South, Rockbridge is there. Jeff City, they were there last year. Lost in the semifinals. Yep. Who do you see maybe coming out of that district there this year?
Ooh, I tell you what. So I know Rockbridge. They return almost everybody because they were young last year, and so he's got a really good team. Hickman's got some really nice arms that I believe are committed. And then Jeff City, they always come up with some players. I mean, they've always got kids. They're always well coached. Kyle Asley does a good job down there. I just start to look around. You see certain coaches, it seems like year after year, and it's cyclical a little bit in high school, but they're always within a year or two, they're always going to have a good club. Even if they have a down year. I know Tony had a few years where, he was a little bit younger and then all of a sudden, bam, he's right back in it. And, so well-coached groups. We do go down to Springfield also. We'll play Willard and Nixa, Kickapoo and some of them, and there's good teams down there also.
Yeah, we were all surprised, Kevin, that Kickapoo didn't make it, right?
And here's the thing about high school baseball. Kevin, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Kickapoo just got upset, but then Willard won the 5A, and Willard's going to be up in that Columbia tournament, which is kind of great. It's great to see because we kind of got all parts of the state in that tournament. So you got the 5A state champion in that, so that'll be fun.
That's challenging themselves. They're going up to those big schools, 6A schools, setting themselves in that. That prepares you for that state tournament type thought process because you're seeing top baseball.
Yes. Yeah, we also have a day late April where we go back to Columbia. You've got Liberty, it's just a double header day. But you've got Liberty North, Hickman, Rockbridge, Staley, Francis Howell, Blue Springs, and Kearney, all in that same field that day. So all those teams are represented. It's a fun day. It's a lot of good baseball.
Sounds like we should be hanging out in Columbia for April.
Kevin, we're coming with you, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's call Harpo.
I will 100%
make a reservation
be in
already.
Columbia a couple times.
So, Coach, District 7, you got Raymore, Peculiar, Ray Peck. They got some guys coming back. I think as far as looking at that, I think you're going to see them come out of that district again personally because I think they're returning those kids, and I think they're going to be at the top of that district. What do you think?
Yeah, I think them and Blue Springs South. And I'll tell you, Blue Springs had some young kids that played last year. And Cole Gibless is a left-handed pitcher for them. And I literally watched, because my son plays on that team with him in the summertime. I watched him pitch a whole summer and not give up a run. And he's only going to be a sophomore. He is good. So that's going to be another fight because Blue Springs South got a year older, and so did Blue Springs. So it will be tough.
So then, of course, your district, are you going to pick yourself out of that district, Coach?
Well, I'm looking around to see it. Hey, you know what? I have learned this in high school baseball because I had one heck of a team back in 2018. We faced a first-team All-State pitcher in the first round, and he beat us. And you just, I'm not a big fan. I don't mind saying this. I'm not a big fan of the single elimination tournament. I just I never have believed it's conducive to our sport. Somehow it needs to change someday. I've tried. We're going to continue to try, but it does create an opportunity. I felt like we went to the Final Four in 2013, and we upset Blue Springs South, and darn near upset Francis Howell, and it was not a team loaded of high-end talent in Division One, and so it does create those Cinderella type situations. But I still believe baseball's built on testing the depth of a team, and I hope that Missouri gets there someday.
Kevin, thoughts on that, man?
No, I would love to see that, and maybe when we talk to the Misha guys again, that would be one we can bring up.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's absolutely right. Anything can happen in baseball. The best team versus the worst team in Major League Baseball, they play a 3-game series. The worst team's on average going to win one of those 3 games. So if you catch them on the right day or the wrong day, depending on which side you're on, unfortunately, the best team isn't always going to win in the sport of baseball.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree. I'd love to see that. I think some, regional, super regional kind of thought process would be cool, wouldn't it?
I think it'd be awesome.
I do. I like that, Coach. We're with you. We'll start petitioning Misha, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, we'll get shut down first, and then everyone else can try after we're done.
Well, I'm sitting on the Misha Advisory Council for baseball this year, so I probably already let out one of the things I'm going to talk about. So
Is it your first and last year?
Yes. Yeah, that'll be it.
Kevin, final thoughts, man, for Coach there?
No, I'm looking forward to, and one thing he didn't tip you off on, and I'll bring it up. He has a son that is a sophomore that is a heck of a player that plays the game right, and was with us at the Future Games, and he's going to be a fun one to watch. That whole class of his, that sophomore class of Staley, is going to make them dangerous the next couple of years. So they're going to be a fun program to watch over the next 2-3 years. So looking forward to seeing you this spring, Coach.
You bet. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, Coach, good luck to you. Thanks for coming. And, I'm sure we'll see him throughout the spring.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And look forward to seeing you, meeting you in person, and talking a little more baseball.
Sounds good.
I love it. Our inaugural West Coast, I guess that's what you'd call it. I don't know. High school preview. Coach Dave Wilson, Staley High School coach, good luck to you this year. Thank you very much for coming on. Hey, everybody, if you enjoyed what you saw here, please hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment for Coach. Tell us what you think. We appreciate it. Give us your thoughts on the upcoming high school season. We're looking forward to it. Everybody have a great day in the Lord. And all you pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and you hitters,
Hit them where they ain't.
it's good advice. We'll see you next time.